Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I took the chance to come to Silicon Valley, and I thought, wow, I get a chance to be in Silicon Valley where tech, AI, the internet was developed right here, and I get to talk about it and how the historical significance that is tied to 5G that I hope to bring to you tonight. 5G didn't just happen. It's not just, oh, the next cellular generation. It's the next step past 2G, 3G, 4G, now 5G. What is 5G? Sorry. So we're going to get into 5G, the technology, in a minute. But before I do, I have to explain to you why I have up here military-industrial weapon. I don't think a lot of you guys are aware the history of the development of 5G, that it was actually designed back in the early 1900s. It's a military radar equipment that was used by the military, studied by the military, and extensively studied on biological effects early, very, very early, because microwave sickness was a prevalent phenomenon amongst the radar operators. So when people today, the industry will deny electrosensitivity exists, it does. And as a matter of fact, the symptoms are getting so strong, so prevalent, so immediate that whole families being exposed to 5G antennas right outside their homes are getting fully attacked, literally attacked, assaulted by this weaponry. So 5G really is a quantum leap in terms of exposing our entire Earth to microwaves. It's not just introducing a handful of microwaves. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, which is supposed to be our regulatory agency here in the United States that designates which frequencies are allotted for industry to use. Well, they gave us permission, commercial industry, permission to use maybe about 10, each generation about 10 frequencies. That was first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. But what's the difference with 5G? If you listen to Tom Wheeler's speech back in 2015, June of 2015, he introduces 5G and he says, we're opening up the entire microwave spectrum. That's 3,000 frequencies. 3,000 frequencies. And not just, every single one of these frequencies do not belong on Earth. These are frequencies that are blocked by our Earth's ionosphere, all the spheres, that goes on up. It's absorbed by, the molecules up in the higher stratosphere and beyond for a reason. As well as, on the opposite side of the spectrum, you've got, the gamma rays, right? That's also blocked. So the only sliver of electromagnetic radiation that reaches Earth is just visible light. And here we're criminalizing sunlight, but sunlight is what gives all life here on Earth. It is the only spectrum of energy that belongs on Earth. Everything else is xenobiotic. It does not belong. It's artificial. And whatever is artificial is life-taking. I have never met an electromagnetic radiation frequency that is life-giving. Have you ever read a study that says, oh, by the way, microwave radiation made this person think better, made this person healthier, made this person's heartbeat rhythm, stronger, and is it life-sustaining? Of course not. No, because it doesn't belong on Earth. So what did FCC, Tom Wheeler announce? He announced the entire bandwidth of entire frequencies. So what does that mean? So if there's 3,000 frequencies and each generation they introduce about 10, so I'm just kind of giving you an idea of really the quantum leap of what 5G really means. It's 297G, okay? And people are so sick from being exposed to the combination of 5G on top of 4G. People are already getting sick from 4G and 3G. But you are adding 5G, which is an unlimited numbers of frequencies, because the FCC says we're going to increase, the world's opportunities by unleashing this. Now, why would any agency that's supposed to regulate our safety and our health do this? It just doesn't make sense, right? So 5G, I know there's a lot of misconception. People say, oh, it's only millimeter waves. Well, because, as I said before, FCC says it's entire spectrum of microwaves. It's the low band, mid band, high band. It's the entire spectrum of 300 megahertz through 300 gigahertz. 1 hertz is, one full wave, right? So 400 megahertz is about the width of this yardstick. And you're moving it down. 800 is what cell phone? 800, 900 cell phone. 1800 cell phone. So that's, 15 inches, 13 inches. That's about the width of, the body. And then you've got the Wi-Fi, which is 2.45 and 5.8, and that's 5 inches to 2 inches. We're being exposed to various lengths of waves all at the same time. And what is so significant about this is that the width of the waves resonate with the size of your organs. So you're looking at Wi-Fi in schools. These kids are being exposed to 2-inch, 5-inch waves. That's perfect for the size of, brain. 2 inches, the eyeball, right? The kidneys, the testes, the ovaries, the reproductive organs, the heart. And then the millimeter waves are about 1/4 of an inch. Super, super, super high frequency. Complete, full absorption of all these waves. 95%. Full body exposure, almost 100% absorption. All onto your skin. And don't be fooled thinking that it's going to be innocuous. As a matter of fact, it's going to make you very sick, because you have certain systems in your body that absorbs the radiation deep into your system through your nervous system, through your blood vessels, and also the Brilliant precursor effect. Okay, so here's the FCC's level. That's 10 million on the top. And I'm going to show you one of the sampled small cell gave a building biologist friend of mine gave me a copy of the report, and it was 460,000. He got the highest reading, 460,000. That's astronomical. And here you got the bioinitiative report saying 6 is when you start seeing effects. Now this family that's being exposed to the 460,000, every single one of them got sick. So this is no longer an electrosensitive issue. These are soliciting immediate effects. And this is why it's so important that we get active in our community, figure out where are they placing these 5G, and go to your city and start making noise. The next slide. So this is the home. Here, 460,000. So you can see the proximity of what these small cells look like. Basically, it's just like this little funnel that's, the antenna is placed on top of the light pole. Most of them look like that. It's supposed to blend in, but it's a fatter tubular look, and it's just a couple of feet away from the home. And they are placing this every 3 homes, if not every light pole. And here's one in a commercial district area. Here's another design. So, why do they need to place it that close to people? Okay, so this is a map of the small cell antenna that is being deployed right now in San Diego. And you can see it's just peckered. It's just peckered with antennas. What's happening is this is terraforming our Earth. Okay, you can try to protect your home, but what about the rest of the environment? Our entire ecosystem is being destroyed. Even the inorganic material that support biological material is being affected. The quality of our oxygen, the quality of our carbon, the quality of the water is all being affected by microwaves. And what it does is it bends the molecules so that our body doesn't recognize it, okay? I did a blood study of a school teacher where I did a blood analysis, a blood morphology analysis, and compared it to the RF value abstracted from that day's reading. So we'll get into that next. So, okay, so this is the school Wi-Fi. The purple is the Wi-Fi exposure of this teacher. She wore a device, a dosimeter, on her arm, and it's this nifty German-made device called Masscheck, $3,000. Measures all the frequencies of that time. It measures DECT phones, cell towers, uplink, downlinks, smart meters, and Wi-Fi, and just all the exposures at that time, but it did not pick up the 5.8 gigahertz. Not 5G, all right, this is gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz. But look at this. My point in taking this really wasn't to show every single frequency that it was picking up, but rather to show how gross the amount of radiation that the kids are getting exposed to in one school day. They've made the maximum threshold thermal levels, they say is safe, and then they average out what is existing. So everything they do is negligible. Is this a crime of humanity or what?
How can the FCC are they supposed to protect that?
They are. They were commissioned to be our regulatory agency, and this is exactly where I'm going to go into the historical connection that 5G is actually linked to an occult past, an obsession for artificial intelligence. It is actually based on World War II. Okay, so World War II never ceased. After World War II, they brought in 1,600 Nazi scientists, military intelligence officers into the United States. They smuggled them into the United States to allow them to continue research. And this is all under the cover of what is now known as Operation Paperclip. And out of Operation Paperclip birthed a whole bunch of other operations, and a lot of them were mind control projects like MKUltra. So these are all real, and there was a lot more. But we'll focus on Operation Paperclip because that is where one particular Nazi scientist is important to our topic, and his name is Hermann P. Schwann. He was the scientist commissioned by the United States to come up with our first safety guideline. This is back in 1953. And do you know what his level that he came up with is? 10 million microwatts over meter squared. It has not changed since 1953. Okay, so this is actually where treason is being acted on. We are basing our levels on a criminal who served an enemy nation during World War II, and we gave him our national security. We're entrusting our national security into the hands of a Nazi scientist. So that is really, it brings you to the real reasons why 5G, 4G, 3G, all of this is so nefarious, and why they're pushing it on us so heavily. There's a lot more to 5G. a whole lot more. And the other reason why I wanted to talk with the health practitioners is that 5G is linked with healthcare, and it's intricately linked to healthcare. So here is comparison of what is natural to ambient levels. Obviously, ambient is nothing. So this is, I actually forgot to shut my meter off. So this portion here is actually my home. I don't have any wireless. I don't use Wi-Fi. I don't even have a smartphone. And all these little red parts are smart meters. Okay. So I was picking up smart meters. But compared to the Wi-Fi in schools, you can just see how grotesque that is. So I started doing blood study because I'm electrically sensitive. And this is why I studied this so extensively, was because I just had to know what the heck was going on. What the heck was going on with me first. And I go, well, what the heck is wrong with these people that's allowing this to happen? And then what the heck, where did this even come from? So this is actually my blood. This is decently healthy blood. They're separated. The membranes are round, and you don't really see any rouleau effect. And then this is my blood on Wi-Fi. So this is when I'm exposed, I get this rouleau effect. Okay. So the rouleau effect is really a coagulation cascade happening. Okay, so this doesn't look too good, does it? Because your body's not getting the oxygen it needs. And I do get numbness. I get numbness in my extremities, which is one of the telltale signs of electrosensitivity. I get headaches. I can't think very well. As a matter of fact, it's a little tough for me to be here right now. You guys are a great audience, so you're giving me the energy I need. So this is not my blood, but this is a subject who uses cell phones, lives in a Wi-Fi house, and has no cognizant avoidance of wireless at all. And these cells obviously do not look like healthy red blood cells. As a matter of fact, these are echinocytes. They're spur cells, they're bottom cap cells. And this is definitely the kind of cells actually you find in most people these days. There's very little people with normal, healthy, singular flowing blood cells, because the ambient level of our microwaves is so prevalent and so ubiquitous. So this is the teacher's blood. Okay, so I took her blood 4 times over 2 days, and over a long weekend. Monday, she was not exposed. It was a holiday. I took it at 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., and the next day, when she was exposed to school, at 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. Okay, so it was before exposure and after exposure. But I wanted a control day, and this was the control day. Okay, so her blood looks, decent. It's not perfect, but it's singular, it's separated, and the membranes looked intact. And then this is later in the afternoon. You can see that she was getting some ambient exposure, and so her blood is starting to look sticky. Now, this is a healthy teacher, all right? This teacher eats organic. She exercises. She's stress-free, and she lives with she does not use Wi-Fi, does not use a cell phone. So she was really the optimal teacher to do the study on. And even then, she's getting affected. And by the way, those who are familiar with blood analysis, live blood analysis, which I actually prefer to call fresh blood membrane morphology, FBMM, to me that's a little bit more specific, is that in the past, before any of our artificial electromagnetic exposures, it would take a long time for blood to look like this. And it would take a really bad diet to reach this state. Now, it only takes a couple of hours of exposure. And it's also a lot of other issues too, like the coagulation cascade is also gets started. Because your body it feels like it's being attacked. It's actually like an electromagnetic raping of your internal system. Okay, so if you look at it that way, so your body's creating these fibrins that's causing the blood to coagulate. Okay, so this is the day of the school day, the morning, and again, the blood is kind of gone back to normal. It's good, she's slept, and but this is after school. I have never seen anything like this before, and I suspected it was going to be this bad. But I was so shocked. Blood was brown. The first 3 times the blood was drawn was red. It flowed. It was fresh looking. This time it was brown. It was coagulated. It wouldn't. This is not even rouleau. I mean, this is assault. This is microwave weaponry assault. I mean, the blood looks like cauliflower. It's assault. So this is what her blood looked like that morning, and then later on, what it looked like afterwards. Yeah, she's shielded that router, by the way, and these routers. People think, oh, it's just Wi-Fi. It can't be that bad. The cell phone next to your ear, no, that's dangerous. These are industrial strength routers that are meant to connect to 300 laptops in a classroom of 30 students. Her room is particularly bad because she's in a temporary building where the ceiling is only 8 feet tall. So if you have a child sitting right directly under the router, his head is literally 4 feet away from the router. And you wonder why anxiety, depression, and suicide is going up amongst children. Not to mention tech addiction. Okay, so let's go back to World War II, Nazi scientist. This is Hermann P. Schwann. He's the one who came up with the FCC guideline. But at that time, it wasn't FCC. FCC only was commissioned to be our regulatory agency much, much later. But they adopted Hermann Schwann's levels, and they fiercely protect those levels. So they are complicit along with Hermann P. Schwann's treasonous activities. All right? So FCC is causing, they are in alignment with the treasonous activities of the OSS and the CIA, later known as the CIA, when they smuggled enemy nation scientists into our borders to do scientific research and work and determination, safety determination. And this is actually very important. And this will kind of explain, well, not kind of, actually will explain to you why do they want such high levels? Why is 5G such a nefarious thing where they're just like pounding everyone's door down saying, you must have a cell tower in front of your house. Okay, it all has to do with artificial intelligence, has to do with the Internet of Things, and most of all, it has to do with Internet of Bodies. This is why they want it, right? This is not an agenda that was willy-nilly just created out of nowhere. This was all by design. 5G is the capstone. All right, it's the capstone to make all these things happen. It's connecting inanimate objects and animate objects. Not only connecting them, but controlling them. We're going to talk about human augmentation next. Okay, so this is Hermann Schwann, written by Kenneth Foster, and I'm going to share with you. This was a wonderful gift by a good friend of mine, biological engineering, written by Hermann Schwann. This was actually a publication used as a textbook for UPenn and probably other universities. So here we've got a German scientist, educating our future youth on bioengineering, modifying human biology. Okay, so this is one of his studies. very well aware of the dielectric properties of microwave exposures. That is what his specialty was. And he understands that when cells are exposed to, these are free-floating cells, when they're exposed to microwave radiation, there's what he calls pearl chain effect, right here, without field and with field. So he recognizes that effect. And here he's, creating these levels that are just astronomical. And throughout his studies, he'll say, oh, only thermal effects, but he's well aware of these other effects. So here's another one. Without field, with field. How the cells will orient, answer your question. Electrical field force effects, not just the pearl chain effect, but also the orientation, the movement, deformation, fusion, rotation, vesicle ejection. That's membrane. It's breaking the membranes apart. And if you guys understand what Martin Paul talks about in all, his thing is the voltage-gated calcium channel leaks. That's, part of this idea, the vesicle ejection. Okay, so anyway, so who's promoting the FCC guidelines now? Who's saying, no, we need to hold on to this 10 million microwatts over meter squared? Well, it's his protege, Kenneth Foster. If any of you guys are familiar with the 5G summit, Deborah Davis gave us speech, and I was so happy when I heard she mentioning Kenneth Foster being an industry plant. He's so in her, I'm quoting her. She says this about Kenneth Foster. This is Herman P. Schwann's protege. Foster rewrote the original draft prepared by CDC scientists. So it now reads like an infomercial for wireless devices. He has for years been supported by the industry. I don't know whether they realize the extent to which he was conflicted as an expert. So Kenneth Foster, Herman P. Schwann, they've done many, many studies together. So here you can see that they're in cahoots together. So Kenneth Foster's in training, right? Okay, so Kenneth Foster, let's go into him and what he's been doing, what he's been working on now. So Kenneth Foster is linked to all these, what I think are, what I like to call quack science-based medicine. He tries to debunk all the naturopathic, homeopathic methods of science. He and a whole cohort of them, and it's called science-based medicine. If you go onto their website, they will knock down everything that is actually good for you. It's so obscenely obvious. And one of the articles that he slams is the Bio Initiative report. So you know they got something there. They slam it. And who slams it? Kenneth Foster, who works with Herman P. Schwann. Real science versus questionable science. Who are you going to trust? Nazi scientists or scientists that are well-meaning, that are doing actual science? Okay, so 1953, 10 million, Herman P. Schwann. So after decades of pressure by government agencies and scientists to tell them to revise it, just last month, FCC says, no, we're not going to revise our guideline. 70 years later. Okay, so like I said, 5G has a deeper purpose. It's not for better cellular connectivity. It's not for faster speed. It's so that they can control everything about you. And it goes beyond biometrics, way beyond biometrics. The technology is already here. They can do it. Because at the same time when Herman P. Schwann was coming up with the FCC coming up with the RF safety guideline, you have this interesting character, J.C.R. Licklider. He is the father of the internet. He, like Herman P. Schwann, is also into human augmentation. He's interested in the human-computer symbiosis. If you hear about Elon Musk saying, oh, man must meld with machine in order for us to keep up, he's only a repeater. There's nothing new that he is stating that hasn't been stated decades ago. Over 50 years ago, in fact, 70 years ago, because this is Licklider. In the 1950s, 1960s, this is when the internet's computer-man symbiosis was being introduced. Okay. And what does he call it? He calls it an intergalactic computer network. Okay. So there's, this is where 5G comes in. They need 5G. Like I said, it's the capstone to facilitate this whole Internet of Things and Internet of Bodies so that they can make these things happen if they wish. Okay, this is their plan. And I feel like humanity is on two tracks right now. We're on the AI track. We are also on a track to save the planet. And I'm not talking about climate change, all right? That's a whole other topic. I don't even want to go in there. But I'm talking about the electromagnetic health of our planet for all natural living things. Okay, so augmented human, if you look at the image, what do they have? They have chips inside the brain. The brain is a computer, and he's wearing a visor. What kind of visor do you think that is? It's virtual reality. And I'm going to read to you some of the things that they talk about at this convention, and it's next year. Brain-computer interfaces and artificial intelligence, augmented healthcare. Okay, I want you healthcare practitioners to understand this. Augmented healthcare. That's where they would like to see medicine heading. And if you look at our policies, our health policies, it's all there. Health in all policies has nothing to do with individual health. It has nothing to do with natural medicine, healthy eating. It has everything to do with controlling the masses, utilizing health as an excuse to bring on this full, massive population control. United Nations, UNESCO, this is all being masterminded from that level. Okay, so this is how they're also enabling this fast tracking of the 5G. Who do you think is able to create such a cooperative effort on a global level to fast track smart meters, to fast track Common Core type education, to fast track one-to-one technology per student ideas. Sustainability, the idea of sustainability, oh, we gotta stop, guns and do all these weird things as if it's our problem. Yet, they want to microwave the entire planet with these high voltage machinery and say, no, this is gonna help climate change? Let's electrify our planet more. These things doesn't make sense. Augmented and mixed reality. This is beyond the Internet of Things, okay? This is beyond biometrics. This is beyond facial recognition, scanning, social credit system. They're wanting to augment humans. They want to create a complete virtual reality where we don't even know what reality means anymore. Augmented taste. Interactions between augmented humans and smart cities, okay? So it's augmenting so that we fit in, the Internet of Bodies fits in with this Internet of Things. So there's a melding. It's beyond the man and computer melding. It's the whole system melding together. And who's controlling all this? Who's controlling this cloud that's supposed to be controlling these smart cities, the smart cloud system? Okay, so smart objects, smart textiles, okay, smart textiles, and IoT augmenting humans, human augmentation, sensory substitution and fusion, holograms and smart glasses, exoskeletons and superhuman technologies, bionics and biomechanics. We know where this is going, or we know where they'd like us to go with this. And this is where our non-consent comes in. Notice of liability for non-consent and injury by wireless radiation. Everything I covered today is in this document and more. I haven't told you all the things that the FCC is breaking. Okay, they are not just creating treason by working in concert with an old, outdated 70-year-old Nazi scientist level, but they've also done a lot of other criminal activities, such as lying about, anything past 6 gigahertz is safe because we've just expanded it to include 300 gigahertz when they actually have no relevance to do that. So it's all in here. This will be on my website, lenasfabulousfrequencies.com, and I will also have my blood study on this site. This is a new website I'm creating, so bear with me. Hopefully I'll have it up in a couple of weeks, and once it's up, I'm going to be posting things regularly, because there's a lot more that I'm not able to squeeze in this short amount of time. But let's just recap here. So Hermann Schwann's study, this was done in 1977, without field, with field. Here I've done, a study with a teacher, natural without field, with field, and this is what you get, okay? So, this is Chairman Pai, SEC Chairman, proposes to maintain current RF exposure safety standards. 70 years later. Never should a genotoxin ever be considered a commercial commodity determined by popular vote. And here's the title of my notice of liability. And especially for those who are already involved in fighting the radio frequencies, the 5G, 4G in their towns, this is something you might want to look into. And there's lots of ways to legally convince your local authorities, your council members, to not put the 5G, 4G